Glad you're staying with us right here on The Exchange, where your business is our business. I'm Rico Hizon. From the home and the workplace, the quest for acceptance and inclusion for all sexual orientations and gender identities spans to the economy. Let's now have an exchange with Lee Badgett, American economics professor and author, joining us now from Massachusetts in the United States. Professor, thank you so much for joining us. More and more LGBTQ plus individuals are making their real selves known. Are workplaces and industries making them feel accepted?
Not yet. They are in some places, and that's true in the Philippines as it is in many other countries. And we're starting to see employers recognize that they have a need to know more about their LGBTQ employees, who they are. The fact that they simply exist in the workplace sometimes comes as a surprise to people, but once you recognize that and you're an employer, then you have to start thinking about how to make people feel included if you want them to be the best workers possible for you.
So, Professor, in the areas where there's inclusion and acceptance, is the community given equal opportunities for key jobs like in middle and top management?
That's a good question. We don't have the best data to examine all these questions very broadly, but certainly we know that people report that they do not have the same advantages. They either feel like they have to be very closed about who they are, which is, it's not good for them, it's not good for their health, and it's not good for employers. Or if they are more open, then they do face the possibility that their employers or possibly their coworkers will treat them differently. And that difference in treatment can sometimes be very harsh. Sometimes harassment and other kinds of victimization occur in some workplaces. But overall, there's still a lot of work to be done to make sure that people do have the same opportunities, whether we're talking about the Philippines or the United States or really any other country. Every country is still on that path.
A lot of work to be done, as you say, especially here as well in the Philippines. But with these kinds of attitudes, Professor, towards the LGBTQ plus community, how does this impact our economies?
It has a very big impact on our economies. It's easy to picture the impact it has on the economies of individual LGBTQ people and their families. But when we think about what happens to them, we can see that it also has an effect on the overall economy. The kinds of things that economists look to understand why economies thrive and grow really focuses on what we call human capital. That's the skills, the knowledge, the creativity that people have to contribute. So when we talk about LGBTQ people and the experiences they have in the economy of discrimination, we're actually really looking at a loss of that human capital, the loss of those skills and knowledge. And that has an effect on people's health. Stigma makes people sick, literally. It has an impact on how much education people can get. And then in the workplace, it has an effect on their productivity. So poor treatment, less than full inclusion holds people back, and it holds our economies back.
Indeed, because some Asian economies discriminate against the community, Professor. Are they then on the losing end when they fail to protect and accept them?
Absolutely. We've actually tried to add up the cost to economies. And what we have found is that at least 1% of GDP is lost. And although that sounds like a small number, that's the effect of a kind of a permanent recession that's self-inflicted. We put ourselves in as economies. It's about the size, if we thought about it at the global level, it might be the entire economy of the Netherlands or Turkey. So that loss, that 1%, is something that economies really cannot afford to give up.
1% of GDP, that is a whole lot when you translate that into billions of dollars, Professor. The Philippines right now has yet to pass a law protecting the LGBTQ plus community. How does this impact our economy, which is still recovering from the pandemic?
It definitely has an effect. The cumulative losses from holding people back, on top of what's happened with regard to COVID, I think really puts economies in a tough place. And the first step is to get rid of laws that are discriminatory and to pass laws that will help LGBTQ people become more included in society. So in the case of the Philippines, that does relate to the equality bill. So that's a great opportunity that the government has, that the Congress has, to actually make a difference for LGBTQ people that will then potentially make a big difference in your economy.
Well, at this point, Professor, the SOGI Equality Bill is now on its 20th plus year sitting in Congress. And at this point, no one seems to know when it will be passed, if at all. But taking a look at many companies here in the country, many have pro-LGBTQ plus social media execution and other activities celebrating the community during Pride Month. Professor, are these enough initiatives and measures, or are these just examples of rainbow capitalism?
Yeah, some people call it pinkwashing, actually. Yeah, so Pride is an important opportunity. It's an important chance for companies to talk to their employees and to find out what's on the minds of their LGBTQ employees. But participating in Pride really is not enough to change what happens in the workplace. So there's an opportunity to engage in talking with LGBTQ employees. I cannot emphasize that enough. It's really that's where they will find out what needs to happen, whether it's explicit policies against discrimination that make people feel more welcome, looking at benefits policies, thinking about the kinds of training that workers get around diversity and equity issues. Whatever it is, employers need to dig in, and Pride Month is an excellent opportunity for them to call together folks and to talk to them. And if you can't find LGBTQ employees, first of all, that's a bad sign. It means that people do not feel comfortable being open at work. There are many local organizations in the Philippines that are looking at some of these issues. For example, the Philippines LGBT Chamber of Commerce has done research that shows that very few local employers have these kinds of policies that are so important. So there's a lot of work that can be done, and this is a great chance to start that process.
Professor, happy Pride. Thank you so much for this Gender Diversity and Inclusion Exchange. Lee Badgett, American economics professor and author, joining us from Massachusetts in the U.S. And straight ahead on the exchange, where your business is our business. How are LGBTQ plus Filipinos making a mark in the country's business scene? The Philippine LGBT Chamber of Commerce joins us next, right here on CNN Philippines. News you can trust.